everyone knows with you, Ant, you're a big advocate of Strongwoman and a big, forward pusher for the sport. Where did that start? And
so, I think we've been running comps for about 2 years, and Aaron Page was running England Strongest Woman Championship. There was already the current England Strongest Woman that we run. Craig was running that, but Aaron had started up another avenue, another pathway. And as Aaron was getting bigger and bigger, Aaron was really good at running comps, and he was good at getting grassroots competitions going. And as his career started to get bigger and bigger, and he started to push into bigger comps, he was just running out of time. So the 1 year he asked us, and he wanted to move because he'd been running the English Strongest Woman Championship for 2 years, and he asked us to hold the final up in the Midlands because it just made it fair for everybody then travelling around, because obviously the girls were travelling from up north to down south. So we held it the 1 year. We only held the final. We didn't have anything to do with anything else, and we had 14 people secured the Tamworth Rugby Club area. I think in the lineup was Donna Moore, I think Andrea Thompson was there, Rosie Pearson, who's the yoga girl, Yogi Beast, what's her name? Lisa Price was in it. There's a few names that actually people would be surprised back then, but there was, for me, there was 3 weight categories and there was 14 girls across the whole competition. It was just like, wow. Anyway, we ran the comp and had a really good time, really good fun. Made some good friends from that. Rosie Pearson, just even to this day, she just makes me laugh. She's brilliant. But it was great, and just the atmosphere that the girls created. And this is the first time we'd ever done this comp. The camaraderie between the girls was unreal, and we just said to Aaron, well, look, yeah, if anyone wants to do anything else in the future, let me know. And it just grew from there, and I think me and Aaron had a conversation over the closed season, and it's like, look, I'm going to SCL and places like that now. Can you take this over? And so we took over the English Strongest Woman Championship. I said, look, there are some changes I want to make. Because back then I think there was 4 qualifiers. 4? 4, yeah. So it was a Midlands, a Northern, a Southern, and a North London.
North London.
So it was just balmy. So we looked at it, and obviously back then I'd had a couple of years of helping out on the under-90s and sort of saw their format, which worked brilliant. So we did the same. We followed the same format. So we brought it down to the 3 qualifiers of North, South, Midlands, and that worked really well. But in the first year, we had 95 girls into the qualifiers.
95 girls.
95 girls into the qualifiers. So back then, obviously, we were trying to bring girls through, and there wasn't even a third of what the competition for the girls are now. There was no real big competitions, and when they were all silly little things.
When would you say this was about? What year you're looking?
2015-ish.
Wow. To be fair, even then there wasn't a huge...
The Strong Woman back then was tiny. There was 3 or 4 superstar girls. Donna was one. Andrew was up and coming. Jenny Todd was a name. But yeah, it wasn't as big as it is now, type thing, and the attention was just... who was a big name? Gemma Magnuson. So Benny's... Yeah. She was I think she was then the world's strongest woman type thing. But we're talking about silly things like they used to press on a 9-inch log. So the little skinny.
I was going to say that.
I absolutely hated it. It's like I went to one of the competitions, and it was what drove me nuts. It was like the girls were doing different implements because they were girls, and I'm that's not what we're showcasing here. So it was like, So when we took over, we took the categories down into 3 regions. We also, after a year or 2, we looked at the weight categories as well, because back then there was no OSG, there was no big comps to go abroad, so the only one to go abroad to do was the Arnolds. So and that was only amateurs. I think Donna had got a pro card. Jenny might have had a pro card back then as well. But I spoke to Jenny about it, and she was like, I said, are you going to do England's next year? And she was like, I don't know, because like the Arnold's is under 82s, England's is under 75s. She says, I'm bulking for the Arnold's and cutting for the England stuff. And I'm like, well, why are we doing that? She's like, well, I says, who set the weights? And she says, that's what they've always been. I says, right, okay, let's change that. I says, because we can't be giving you a pathway here or setting you up a competition here that doesn't help you when you go to the international comp. So we changed the weight categories. You know, again, big kick up about it, but look at where we are now. I think it was the right choice.
You know, I think you really hit the nail on the head when you mentioned about seeing the girls coming together. You know, and the camaraderie. The camaraderie. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's taken a long time to get there as well. And it's the whole ethos of what we've tried to do with this is that it's inclusion, not divisive. So that's the main motto for the thing. But it's also, I don't want the girls coming there and doing anything different to the men.
Yeah.
Obviously, we do have to tailor the events. So like the stone. Can't tell we're in the gym.
We are in the gym.
Like the Stonewalls, they will never be at 5 foot, because if we're trying to do the weight class girls doing, you know, some of the 64s are only just over 5 foot themselves, so we'd never do something like that because it's dangerous. So we do have to tailor some of the events to suit the girls, but everything that we do and every bit of kit that's in the gym is either replicated for the men and the women.
Yeah.
It's the same size log, it's the same size this, it's the same size that.
Dumbbells, everything. Yeah.
As much as we can. We try to get that across, but I think we don't want the girls to be a sideshow. I never have wanted the girls to be a sideshow.
I completely agree.
Yeah, it's a standalone thing. So a lot of changes that we had to do to bring it in to get to where it is, and even till now. I mean, in the last 3 years, there's been more changes in the last 3 years to what we're doing to set the girls up than ever before. We were always very strict on what we'd say do, so it was same day weigh-ins, no suits, no deadlift suits, no squat suits. We even started off with no double or triple ply elbow sleeves.
Oh wow!
So yeah, for pressing, because what it was back then. I mean, is that with the sleeves, it was we don't want who can afford the best kit.
I was going to say
it's
they
who's
do
the
get
strongest.
expensive.
It's who's the strongest, not who's got the best kit, because you've got so much out of sleeves. But then, brilliant guys at Cerberus brought out 9mm neoprenes, and it's like, well, how do you police this now? And it's like, well, if you can't police it, we have to be careful with everybody. So triples and doubles are allowed now. So just things like that, and like the deadlift suits. We still have a rule that throw somebody at somebody. We still have the rule of there's no deadlift suits in the regionals, because the regionals are still girls coming through.
Yeah.
But actually the national comps, England's and Britain's, will allow suits, because that's what they're allowed when they go to the international comps. So 24-hour weigh-in. Again, I'm not going to do that at the regionals, because that's not where we want to be, but the national comps is 24-hour weigh-in.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're doing. We're prepping these girls to go abroad and compete the best thing.
It's that pro level.
You look at, for instance, you look at what we're doing now. When we started in 2015, 14-15, I think it was 14 for the final and 15 when we took over. 2015, there was 3 to 4 girls going to Arnold's.
Oh yeah.
You look how many Brits were over at OSG, or have been going to OSG. There's 25, 30 girls going.
Yeah.
And that's because of what we tried to do with the pathway. You know, it's that platform of showcasing the girls, giving them the best platform to go showcase, but also the best prep we can from what we're doing here.
Talking about international, I genuinely think we've got the best female athletes in the world, I think, in our country right now.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at the calibre, and I suppose the event, the UK versus US, it spotlighted some of it. It didn't showcase everything.
Yeah, but I mean, as great as that was, and as fun as that was to watch, do, see, and all of that, it was more of a entertainment.
Yes.
It wasn't a head-to-head competition of them individual girls. So, and it always is. And this is sort of what gets my back up a little bit. And you know, he's bringing attention to girls' sports. So I'm never going to knock it, because any attention is good attention. But it doesn't showcase the weight classes of what we try to do. You know, we try to show the girls off. You know, we've got probably the best weight category girls in the world, including the Opens girls as well.
By far.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. You know, you look at the top 2 or 3, top 4 or 5 under 64s, and then the same with the, you know, Rachel Greathead, Janine James, 73 girls are phenomenal. They are rocket fuel.
Yeah.
Then the 82 girls, you know, Gemma Stubbs, Laura from Scotland. These girls are just absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, they're fired.
Gemma Ferguson, Jesus, they are absolutely unreal. Donna Moore's now down in the 82s as well. But then you look at the Opens girls, Rebecca Roberts, Andrea, Annabelle, Lucy.
Yeah.
It's just Katie Smith, even Naomi coming through onto the big stage as well. You know, these girls are absolute fire. But that just shows, when you look at the world records as well, how many of the world records are owned by British girls as well.
That's the other side of it, yeah. I mean, if we're going to talk about women's world records, there's a certain Chaos lady,
Two Chaos ladies.
I was going to say, yeah.
Kate Connolly, Kate's overhead pressing thing, axle, log, whatever. It's just phenomenal. And you got Annabelle, not far. I mean, I know she's not under Chaos now, but Annabelle, you know, she's got the world record or had the world record for the axle as well. You know, Lucy with your deadlift record, Andrew with the log record.
Yeah.
It just goes on, you know. I think one of the things that I find more impressive though is with Andrea is there's not many people in the world that have held log or deadlift at the same time.
Yes.
Go on in. Do you know who they are?
No, that's why I'm trying to figure out who's.
So Andrea's one.
I was going to say Rebecca, but I know Rebecca only held.
It's not another woman.
I was going to say Iron Bibi.
Nope. Zadrunas is the only other person to hold both records.
Wow.
So look at the deadlift now. Look at the deadlift record now. Zadrunas, even back at his time, was nowhere near the deadlift record now. But at one point he had deadlift and log record, and Andrew's done the same thing.
Wow. That is incredible when you think about it.
And it gets downplayed quite a bit, because I think if you can, you know, Eddie was close. Eddie was really, really close with his. But then you look at guys who have gone up for the log record, have never been near the deadlift record.
Well, I say Iron Bibi's currently holding, but he's never
deadlifted. His deadlift's not as good. Like Eddie was really close. Zadrunas has done it. Andrea's done it.
I'm trying to think who I think potentially in the future may have a crack. Mr. Hooper?
I'm not sure where his PB on his log is.
Log coming on really well. Very good for reps. Deadlift's coming on. It's coming up there now. So that's another one.
For the future,
I'd say Novikov, but I think Novikov sees, obviously he already hold, I believe he's still holding the 17-inch deadlift record at the moment. I don't think
17-inch.
18-inch.
18. I was going to say, are we having a record for every?
You have to remember, I'm not as tall.
So 9 to 18, we're going to have a record, a world record for each inch we go down. Yeah. No, but when you look at these things that that people have been and the girls have achieved. I mean, you look at Rhiannon and how many levels of records shown. The lightweight, the middleweight, close to the heavyweight.
Every tick. Yeah, it's there. Stones, deadlift, world champ, local champ. Two
times world's strongest woman. It's not a fluke. God knows how many times Britain's strongest woman. I think it's 4 now, maybe 4 times she's Britain's strongest woman.
Yeah.
England's a couple of times.
It's unparalleled. I've got every time I message her, I'm always kind of going, world's strongest woman. Can't help it,
Yeah.
One of the goats.
Definitely one of the goats in strength sports. And it's like, the other thing you've got to think about is the girls that are coming behind her, because it's not an easy ride for her nowadays. You've got Kate, you've got Shannon, Farah when she's back. All these girls are just pushing hard. They don't mess around. They are pushing hard. She doesn't get an easy ride at any other levels. So
I think, I get the opportunity to speak to quite a large plethora of the different girls, and they're fired. There's such a fire there. I'm not saying the men haven't got it, but the women have got. They've got something.
But this is why we sort of what we do. It's because they buy into what we're trying to put. What we're trying to do and what we're trying to achieve. Don't get me wrong. Over the years, it's people don't see what we're trying to do. It's like. Probably about 5 years ago we started up in the weight. No, probably 6 years ago we started up in the weights in the qualifier. People started moaning, it's too heavy. But actually it's not, because what we're trying to do is, because there are more competitions for girls out there now, the qualifiers is not there for you to cut your teeth as a strong woman, which it was at the start.
Yeah.
what it's there for you now is the girls that want to then go and progress into the pathway. So if you come into the pathway and you get to the qualifiers, maybe the first year you don't qualify, but then the second year you do, and you get to England. Maybe you don't pass England for that first year, but then the second year you do, and it's so on and so forth. And that's that level we've tried to think. But people didn't get that in the beginning.
I suppose it was kind of a wall.
The drop off because of the weight increase and how much I'm going to say the amount of stick we got because of it, because they didn't see the bigger picture. And what we're trying to do is drag them elite girls up into them elite competitions, and and prep them for the best we can for them, so that when they go through the pathway, they're prepared for the international comps. So it isn't super light. It isn't a cardio fest. It isn't a rep fest or a cardio fest for them going through. It isn't the same at England. It isn't the same at Brits. And then when they get to an international comp, it's super, super heavy. So it's prepping the girls as best as we can, but also with the sport growing, we're trying to pull this elite comp, and it is an elite pathway, up to where it should be. But people didn't get it at the beginning. I remember I changed the deadlift from 100 kilos to 120 one year. And the amount of shit I got, so that was the 64 girls. The amount of shit that I got, can I swear on this?
I'll bleep it.
Amount of SH1T I got for changing the weights. And I'm like, I'm just going to stick to my guns. I know why I'm doing it, and I know the benefits of why I'm doing it. The next year, I upped it again. Nobody moaned. Everybody saw what we were achieving. Nobody moaned.
It's creating a natural progression, which increases strength throughout.
We've done the same. When did we start this? So again, everything we do, there's obviously a knock-on effect to when we achieve it and when it comes in. So I think it was probably two years ago. It might have been at the beginning of COVID actually. We started inviting. I think it was the first come back after COVID. The England's in the rain at Grindhouse. We started inviting the top threes finishers back to the competition.
Okay.
So you could go to England, and when we took over Brits as well, you go to Brits. But if you're not the winner, because we only ever invited champions back, if you're not the winner, you don't go back. So if you get to Brits and come second, you've got to back all the way to the qualifiers and come all the way back through.
Oh wow, okay.
So there's two things that's wrong with that. One, it's extra, again, prepping these athletes and prepping these girls to go abroad and compete. It's more comps for them to do. But also it sort of stops the new blood coming through. The fresh blood coming through into competitions.
Yeah.
So by keeping the top three in Brits, they're the top three British girls that we've got in that weight category, they can come back to that competition. They don't have to do England's thing. So actually, if they, say for that first year, they came top three at England and then top three at Brits, well actually next year, because they're only going to do Brits, there should be another three coming through with England.
So I think that's a great idea.
So we've been doing that for the last 2 years, inviting people back, and what it's doing is now, for instance, this did actually happen. So say Rhiannon won Brits, Shannon came second. Shannon, one of the strongest 64s in the world, phenomenal athlete, had to go back to the qualifiers. We only had 3 or 4 spots from the qualifiers. So straight away, that then reduces the amount of spots in the qualifier.
I suppose from another level, if you're Shannon, you're looking at it going,
I've got to do another comp. I've got to do another light comp. It shouldn't be on their radar, and that's not detrimental to what I'm saying to the other girls, but these elite girls shouldn't be in them qualifiers.
I agree.
So yeah, it was just a way of pulling them up, and obviously with the introduction of the Arnolds this year, it was another competition that we can pull them up, and obviously we'll carry on doing that.
I suppose on another level as well, say you're just in the sport, it's your first, second year, you look and you're seeing, I don't know, Rihanna Lovelace is in your competition. There's only one spot, one qualifier. You're either going to go, oh my God, I'm not winning this, and all of a sudden you've already taken yourself out of the game, you're already clipped out, and you're going to show up and you're not going to...
I tell you this now, it goes one of two ways, and we've had both. We've had girls that have turned up, and I remember... so, just go back a couple of years, Opens women over here, turnout for England and for Brits was rubbish, really bad. That was until the 2 years that Andrea came through, and it's sort of the girls were seeing Andrea, and Andrea, she did the pathway the 1 year and went and won World's Strongest Woman that year. And I think that year of competing just toughened her up, made her ready, and she absolutely went and blitzed the worlds. Was phenomenal. The next year there was more Opens girls because she was in the pathway, because they wanted to come and compete again.
Because now they've seen opportunity.
Because now they've seen an opportunity, what she can do, and and off the way she goes. And that was really positive to think. Go back 2 years prior to that, Donna wanted to compete. Obviously, when she was back competing in Opens, put her name down for the Northern qualifier. We had 3 girls pull out.
Straight away, boom.
Boom, because Donna was in there, and it was like, it broke Donna's heart. It was. I remember talking to her about it. She's like, this is not what I want. I said, but I know, but you've got to. Everybody has to qualify, all that stuff, and she gets that. But she's not what I want. I said, I get that, but what these people have got to realise is if they want to come and do these competitions,
this is
strong woman, you're going to test yourself against the best, and you're the best of all time, strong woman wise.
Yeah.
You know, that's their mentality, or their mental game not being up to what it should be. It upset her quite a bit. I remember talking to her about it. I remember talking to Jenny about it, and it's like, but I can't let that dictate. We want the best in the game. We want the best going through the thing. We want the best being pushed. And we want these girls going, I want to be like her, and if I want to be like her, I've got to go and compete against her, and I want to find out where my aim is, not girls that go...
It's quite funny. I spoke to a young girl, 18 years old, Hannah Stephen in Scotland, and we spoke a little bit on camera. We also spoke away from the camera, and I says, what is it, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? And she says, I'll be winning Scotland's Strongest Woman. I'll be up there in the UKs. And I was like, joking around, you're going to be up against, some really powerful people. And she's like, yeah, I know. There wasn't a flinch.
And that's the thing. I think that's been the big transverse from transition that we've had when we started Strongwoman right back in the day of they're coming out, they're having a bit of fun, and it's more like a social thing. It's like your game of football with your mates down the park.
Yeah.
Or going and actually having trials for somebody in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? And that sort of transition where we're having a bit of fun because we're lifting and everything else, and they are social lifters doing a competition, as opposed to people that are actually, right, this is what I'm on, this is what I want to push for, this is where I'm at. And again, that transition from the social lifters, mate, we've took so much grief over the years, saying that we're taking the sport away from those social lifters, and it's like, well, look, if we want to progress this sport, make it bigger and give these girls the right platform, we've got to grow this.
You see, I can't help but disagree with that completely. If you look now at the women's division, you've got people who haven't been lifting for 10, 15 years, but have come in as a way of dealing with, could be fitness, it could be just had a baby, want to trim down.
I'll name you 2 names now. 2 names, top of the tree girls that went to the gym and got into Strongwoman from the gym. We can do that straight. The baby reason was thing. Rachel Greathead, 3 times England's strongest woman at 2 different weight categories. Britain's winner, 3rd at the Arnold, 7th at the OSG. And Laura Baxter.
Yes.
3 times strongest woman, Britain's strongest woman. And they're 2 girls that have gone into the gym for the same reason.
It's phenomenal when you think about it. So it's not just girls who are massive athletes, big power lifters who thought I want to give. You'll find quite a lot have just gone in there as, okay, this is a good way for me to get my form better or work on health, and all of a sudden it turns into a passion, which then turns into. So I don't think it's turning people away. I think it's bringing more people in.
And this is the thing. It's like, again, we talk about we're trying to make the sport for the elites and pushing it up and going forth, but there are competitions out there that, we run them here out at the gym. It's like there are competitions where anybody can come. It's a novice competition. It's light enough to come and have a go. We've got gym members that are starting out their strongman competition or strongman careers, but then we've got guys that are coming here and training. John Clark, who's 400 kilo deadlifter back in the day, and all this stuff, and he's back on the train. And it's the sport's there for everybody. It's just how serious or how much you want to push and take it.
I agree. I recently spent some time with a strong woman, Holly Ford, who explained to me how she got into sport. She just had a baby, wanted to really have a play and get into it. Now she's 100% addicted. 100%.
So this brings me on to the community that we have. I remember Holly. I didn't see her obviously in the qualifiers because she did the Northern qualifier. but her first outing at England's Strongest Woman, obviously, all it was for me then, back then, before I met her at that competition last year, was just a name on the sheet. And I've seen the name popping up on socials. So it's great. She's gone away, and I remember, because one of the rules when we were at England's Strongest Woman is no coach in the back area, because there's obviously a lot of girls. So no coach in the back area, and there's this bloke standing next to this Holly, and so I was about to go over and say, look, mate, no coach in the back area, you've got to go away. And I could see Holly wasn't quite right, and she was having an anxiety attack, a panic attack in the middle, in the back, in the back of this area. So we're like, and I could see she struggled to breathe, so wrapped her arm around her, dragged her outside, got her into the fresh air, and 2 or 3 of the girls that had probably only just met her were out there supporting her, giving her help, talking her through. I think Jenny Todd may have been in one of them, just supporting.
It's incredible.
That was the thing. They didn't know her from Adam. I didn't know her from Adam, but she's in there. She's in the mix. We want a good show. We want her to have a good time. We want the spectators to have a good time. All this. So, what do we need to do to help? And it's that community style that we like.
You can't beat it. Strongman, Strongwoman, the community side of it. When I first started doing it myself, little gym down in Barwell. Came in there deadlifting with, I'm not saying my deadlift's got any better now, but I was deadlifting with my back completely craned over and couldn't work out when my back was always hurting. And it's slowly, Jack Ogville took me aside, kind of helped to try and fix me. And then as the years have gone on, I've come here, and I can't think in the 5 years I've been doing and been in the sport where someone's either said, go away, I'm busy. I can't think of a time when I've gone to interview someone, get a comment, get a photo, get a video of anyone sending me away, saying no, they can't be bothered. It's such a happy community. People sharing. Could you imagine going to boxing and the opponent's forgot his wraps and him saying, can I borrow some wraps? It's never going to happen. But yet you go to a Strong Woman, Strong Man event. They're sharing tacky, they're sharing chalk, they're helping to cut each other's tops. So,
Yeah, the funniest one of this year was they cutting about tops. Was sitting at the pro show at the Arnold's for the women, and Gemma Stubbs turning around saying, because obviously they had to wear the comp t-shirts, and I know the girls will just cut them to pieces anyway, but as long as obviously the sponsors' names are on there and everything, her turning around and saying, well, can I sew pieces of my grip top into the bloody into the thing? I'm like, well, no, you can't do that. Well, I'll sew everybody else's as well if they want me to. I'm just like, Gemma, I didn't ignore you. But she's sitting there offering to sew everybody else's top for them just so that they could.
I love it. It's fair game. I love that.
Yeah, it is good.